Welcome back to the latest episode of the Laura and Becky Show. So we used to be on the radio. We got the sack. So we took off to Mallorca. We thought, what the heck are we going to do? And we thought, you know what? We'll start a podcast.
We are now sponsored by Prince Family Law Solicitors, Red Brick Estate Agents, and we're in collaboration with East Midlands Airport. So today is Wednesday.
And you know what Wednesday means, guys? We try most weeks and get an interesting guest on. And we are very excited for today's guest. It's one of our sponsors. It is
so exciting.
We wanted to get her on for so long, haven't we? We have got Lisa from Prince Family Law on the show today. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
Don't be nervous. It's so funny. Everyone that comes in before they start talking, they always go, I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
They always want a drink. We should actually have like a little drinks table in here maybe.
Yeah,
and a bit like, do you remember Alan Carr when he did the chat show and he had like the different drinks? He was like, what would you like to drink? Would you like a martini? Would you like a sex on the beach? We should offer that.
Graham Norton, he has, they all have the drinks in front of them.
Oh, do you know what?
Maybe we need to incorporate that.
Next time.
Let's move that filing cabinet and replace it with a little drinks table
cabinet.
on wheels. Yeah.
Or we'll just empty it, pop some bottles in.
Yeah, there you go. Gin in a tin.
Perfect.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Out of interest, if we did have a drinks table here, what would you go for?
Yeah, what would be your tipple?
In an afternoon, probably a nice
What,
gin
as
and
opposed to the morning?
Yeah, no, but you kind of you have drinks that you think you can tolerate more.
Yes.
So I think afternoon would be a nice gin and tonic, Tanqueray and light Fever Tree tonic. That would be my.
We probably can't afford to get some of
choice.
those in, Lisa, but we'll get the cheap gin in.
Fine, yeah.
Okay, right, we'll go Schweppes, yeah. A can of Bud.
Yeah, I love it. Kind of a supertenant, maybe.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Yeah. But no, that would be probably the least effect on me in an afternoon. Yeah.
Actually, funnily enough, last week we were talking about drinking on holiday, right?
Yeah.
Now, for me, I like an afternoon drink on holiday. Let's face it, it hits midday. You think, right, what's my first drink going to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right,
It's
good.
bar o'clock.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? And then I think you kind of get a little bit tipsy, don't you, in the afternoon to about 4. Then you'll maybe go back, have a shower, get ready for tea.
Absolutely.
And then tea, have a wine, and then you're done for the day, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you don't get a hangover.
Yeah, perfect. We're exactly the same. 12 noon. My husband's always beer time.
Yeah,
so
beer
nice
o'clock.
couple of beers.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, just drink slowly through the afternoon, wine with your meal, and then
That's it.
To bed.
And then feel great next morning and start
again. Yeah. No evenings out. We don't go out later than what? 11, do we?
8 p.m.
No.
We are so excited you're on the pod because obviously you're sponsoring us this season.
That's right.
And we are excited that you are sponsoring us because we feel like, and we were saying this, I think last week on the pod, weren't we? That a lot of women and men as well, actually, we're saying women, but obviously a lot of women listen to this pod.
Yeah.
That they probably get to a stage in their life, they've been with somebody for a long time or been married for quite a while.
Yeah.
And they start looking around and thinking, is this it?
Is this it?
Am I happy?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And I think a classic time when that often happens is probably round about this time of year, because a lot of people's lives are focused around the children. The children go off to university and then suddenly you're just left, just the two of you. And that's when a lot of people think, actually, is this it?
Is this it?
We've got nothing to talk about. And so I get quite a lot of people at that stage in their life that will come and have a chat with us. A lot of people, as I say, this time of year, people have been on holidays. They've thought make or break holiday, come back from holiday and think, actually, break.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So after Christmas as well, isn't
Christmas
it?
as well. So, I think there's probably 2 peak periods, really. September, as I say, children, empty nest syndrome, where people are just left, just a couple, holidays. And then after Christmas, a lot of people then put things off. I think we'll just get Christmas, see how that goes. New Year's resolutions this year, I'm going to sort it out.
It's either a gym membership or a divorce.
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
both.
The
Maybe
gym
both.
membership probably would be cheaper. Yeah.
As well.
But more beneficial in the long term to sort your life out.
It kind of happens as well, doesn't it? When you've been spending quite a lot of time with your partner, I think so. When you've been like, and after lockdown, I'm guessing as well, there was a lot of people after that time, because when you're confined and spending more time than usual, so they're not your normal routines, you start to think, I don't like this person very much.
No, I don't like you.
I don't want to be married to you anymore.
Yeah, lockdown, I think when lockdown first hit, everything, well, I mean, everyone the same, all working from home, and you're thinking, my gosh, what we're going to do? It's, you know, as gradually as it went on, a month so in, it was like the lid coming off when, as you say, people being cooped up in the same house. Because, you know, it is escapism when you can go out to the office, when you can go out with people from work. All of a sudden, when you've lost that. I mean, I remember seeing one guy came to see me and he said, you know what, Lisa, he said, before lockdown, I would have said we were happily married. He said, we loved holidays, restaurants, going out with friends. He said, all of a sudden, when that went, we actually realised we weren't that happy. So it was that confined space of just being the two of you, or the two of you and your children. And I have to say, and I'm sure most divorce lawyers would say the same, that year following a lockdown was probably the busiest year we've ever had. And it's quite sad, really. But it was. I mean,
so question for you. I feel like we're going to fire so many questions at you.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of go back to kind of the start of how we met you, and because that's a cute story. But just one question once I got it on my mind. Are there more people now getting divorced than like 10 years ago? Is it on the
I wouldn't
up?
say more people getting divorced, because I think probably not as many people get married now as they perhaps did.
Good point.
So I think as many people, if not more, are separating. I think you can kind of go back to kind of when I started this job. I mean, God, more years than I care to remember. So probably 20 plus years ago. It was really hard for people to separate them. The benefit system was only just coming in. The child tax credits weren't only just starting to come in when I first started practicing. So I think women in particular just couldn't afford to leave. And I remember representing one lady, and she was desperately unhappy. And actually, when we looked at it all, she just said, I can't afford to leave him. I'm going to have to stay. And I think that's what happened then. I think the introduction of the tax credit system actually gave women in particular the chance to be able to get out of a happy marriage and be able to survive.
Is that why they brought it? Is that why it was brought in? Like, whose idea was that?
I suspect it probably was. I mean, you'd got your, I mean, I know it's the universal credit now. It used to be your child tax credit.
That's brilliant.
You work in tax credit.
Yeah.
So as long as your clients work 16 hours a week, they could get the working tax and they can get the child tax credits. And they were actually really good benefits.
Yeah.
So I think probably the divorce rate, I would think, probably increased when they came in. Like I say, I think when you look at the stats, probably as many people aren't getting married now, but we still deal with people separating, who own houses together, people with children together.
And what is the average length of a marriage before they get divorced?
It's definitely shorter than the definition of a long marriage is definitely not as long as it was when I first started doing the job. I would say probably the definition of a long marriage now would be 10 years.
Right.
Which I
the
wouldn't...
10-year itch.
Yeah, I wouldn't think actually is a long marriage personally, but that I think would be a definition of a long marriage.
What was it before?
I think before you'd probably be looking 20 years plus. Yeah. Okay. And there's not, that many marriages now that you see that get to that length
Well, if
of time.
you look at like our sort of parents or grandparents' generation, they stuck it out.
They stuck it out. And like I say, they couldn't afford not to because there was no benefit system then.
Women didn't work.
Women didn't work. So that's why, so many women, especially back in the time, as you say, just stuck it out.
No social media. So you couldn't see what old so-and-so who you went out with at school is up to. You couldn't start chatting to him.
And there wasn't the opportunities for them to then meet somebody else because there weren't many divorces. I mean, my old aunt, I was telling you about it before we came on air, she was widowed at 56 and has been on her own for 40 years. And when I've said to her before, you know, would you have ever met anybody else? And she said, well, because of the war as well, people didn't get divorced, and there was actually not as many men because a lot of men fought in the war. So I think, as you say, going back to those generations, no, you didn't see it as much. It was rare.
Yeah.
You make a good point. What about when Friends Reunited kicked off? Didn't that start a load of
Friends
divorce?
Reunited, of course it did, because it was like the light version of Facebook then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Everyone
Friends Reunited,
Yeah.
meeting up with people, as you say, old boyfriends from school and things like that.
Bringing back all those memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
The school disco.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but kind of I'm on Facebook, and when you're talking, because you've got all your friends on there and people that you've been to school with, and you like revert back to that age when you're that. So you can quite see how.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually in the, I went to a school called Jordanthorpe in Sheffield, and we've got a Jordanthorpe school group, and they have reunions every so often. And I've noticed in that group that a few people in there who are paired up, that we were all at school together, and now they're
together.
Wow.
Oh, do you know what? That's interesting you've said that. So I had a school reunion as well. This is probably 6-7 years ago. And you're right, everyone reverts back to what they're like as well. People were calling me my nickname from school. I was like, I haven't been called that for years.
Yeah.
And there was two people, both, I can say this, I think, both with their partners now.
Yeah.
But they used to be together at school, and they sidled off into a corner together.
No.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Yeah, going back to the school days.
Yeah.
Right, okay, talking about going back then,
yes.
this is a good point to kind of go back
Yes.
and ask you, like, how did you always want to do this? Is this something you fell into? Like, how did you become?
Absolutely, totally fell into it. Really? So when I was at school getting careers advice, I mean, I always was into music at school. I played flute and I played tenor horn, so I played in brass bands. And so I always, when I had careers, what are you interested in? Music. Okay. Do you want to be a music teacher? No, not really. So I'd done my GCSEs, and I must admit, I didn't particularly like school. I think it was just that I didn't find it interesting. I didn't find anything that I found really interesting. And I said to my dad, I want to leave school, Dad. I don't want to go back in sixth form. So he said, well, you're only leaving if you go into a job. So I wrote off I got the Sheffield Star then, as you did, and every solicitor's had an office junior at that time that basically made the tea and delivered the post and everything. So I wrote off to all these solicitors, went for an interview, got a job. So I said, I've got a job, Dad. I'm start on Monday. So that was it. So I went to work at a firm called Fable and Smith at the time, office junior, made the tea, did the post boxes in the morning. I loved it. I just, obviously destined to work, not be at school. I just loved it. Being in the working environment. Even then, I didn't know if I wanted to do law but I then started typing, secretary, and then we had a new partner came to work for us, the family lawyer, and I started typing for him, and he delegated a lot to me, and I used to think, I actually quite like this. I think I could do this job. So I went to Sheffield College then and did the training. It was a 4-year course as a legal executive, and it was I still had to work at the same time, and then I used to do 2 kind of afternoon and evening releases to college, so I trained while I worked, and then I went to a firm called Taylor and Emmett, and then I finished my training while I was with them, and then the rest's history. So.
And you were saying to us, weren't you, if we, this was when we met you previously, you said, and I think this is really interesting, because I think people always think of like lawyers and solicitors as being really confident.
Yeah.
And sometimes quite scary as well.
Yeah.
But you were saying to us that you get imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Now.
I think that's right. I think most as you say, so you do appear confident. Of course, you've got to appear confident, because the last thing clients want when they come to see you is some gibbering wreck that you're as nervous as, you know. And
she's not going to sort my divorce for me.
And don't get me wrong, you know, I am confident in the advice I give, and I'm totally confident to represent people in court. But I think if you didn't have that undertone of am I good enough? I've got, you know, being slightly nervous. I think that's what gives you the edge, really. So you kind of flapping madly below, you've got you can be nervous about a court hearing or whatever, but you know, I'm quite happy then when I go in and do that hearing that you're on it. And as I say, that bit of nerves I think does give you the edge. But I think I think if I didn't have that, and I think if you didn't have that kind of imposter syndrome, I sometimes think that's what makes you good at what you do, because you're always thinking, I've got to be better.
Yeah. And it gets your adrenaline going.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it? Like nerves are actually quite good, aren't they?
Absolutely.
But I think everyone gets that. Everyone, no matter who you are, gets imposter syndrome.
I think that too. And I think people don't show it. And of course you don't show it, because like I say, you're not going to pick somebody that you think, oh, they're really nervous. I mean, some people do show it, and you think, I myself think, oh, I can tell they're really nervous.
Yeah.
But you obviously can't show that. But as you say, I think nerves are good. I think they keep you on the edge of what you do. You know, you think, I've got to do this, got to be on this. So you make sure you're absolutely prepared for everything. So, yeah, I think, you get imposter syndrome. Think, how have I got here? Especially with kind of, I've not come the traditional route. I didn't go to university. I didn't come out of school with grade A's or anything. You know, you kind of worked up and done it the hard way.
Yeah. So how do you, so obviously it's full on, isn't it? I mean, you must have full on days where you end your day and you're like,
honestly, even today, knowing I had to leave work at 2:30 today, so I went in this morning and of course we've had the bank holiday, so your usual flurry of emails from 3:00 in the morning, because obviously clients think about something or they can't sleep, which you can't when you're going through a difficult time, so they then email me.
So if you see an email that's 3 a.m, you think, here we go.
Yeah, I've got a couple this morning that were sent at 3 a.m. this weekend. Yeah. And obviously just outpouring of everything.
Yes.
So you're dealing with the bank holiday things, you're dealing with all the other things that have kicked off. So like literally as I was leaving today, and then my secretary came in and said, oh, I've put you in a telephone appointment at 3:00. I says, well, no, I've got to be in Chesterfield at 3:30. Oh, well, I didn't realise you've got to be in Chesterfield. So I says, well, I have to do it now. So that's kind of nearly 2:30. I've gone on the phone to somebody, but I know she was desperate to speak to me, and I didn't want to leave it till tomorrow, because she was upset and just needed me to speak to her about it. But yeah, absolutely full on. I don't think there's many days where you come out of the office and you're like,
I can imagine.
Need a wine at the end of the day.
I was going to say, how do you switch off then? How do you go home?
Exercise, really, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So I mean, me and David were both kind of into our fitness. So tonight I'll go home, go on the cross train or whatever for an hour, go a run at night. Sometimes if I work from home in the morning, I'll go a run in the morning. It would be exercise or alcohol. So I take the view. So I take the view that exercise is better for me, except at weekends I choose the alcohol. But no, definitely that is. I'll come home some nights and I'll be, your
mind's just can't
frazzled.
Switch off.
Go in the gym for an hour, go for a run. And then you come out of it and you think, God, I'm so glad I did that. And you feel so much better. So that's definitely the wind down.
The wine.
The wine
down. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to get you on as well, because we were talking before and we were saying that it's actually, I mean, I remember I find it really scary going to see a divorce lawyer.
Absolutely.
And I went to see a woman, you probably know her actually, I would imagine. And I remember I had to take someone with me because I was so scared. And one of the main things I was really scared of is thinking that I wouldn't understand the jargon they were using, the lingo, and I would look like an idiot. So that was one of the scariest things for me.
Totally. And I never underestimate how hard it is I always say to my clients, the hardest thing is to come in for that first meeting. Especially family law. People are telling me or my colleagues or other family lawyers the most intimate details of their life, and they've never met me before. So they've got to feel comfortable. Great idea to take a friend. I always think it's a good idea to have another pair of ears, because you're a bit overwhelmed. You kind of, it's all a lot to take in. So I think for a first interview, it is a good idea to take somebody. But I think what you've got to do, and we do a free 30-minute interview, and I must admit, I don't think it's a good idea in 30 minutes to bombard somebody with legal jargon and the law, because really that 30 minutes is for them to get to know me, for them to hopefully feel comfortable with me, for me to give them the basic advice, or as agree what they should do from there. But I think first interview wise is, as I say, I don't underestimate how difficult that is, and it's important to make people feel comfortable. I even think with how you dress, because I kind of, if I'm going to court, I'll wear a suit, but I think generally in the office I try to dress fairly casual, because I think, again, people have this preconceived idea that, lawyers
will be like Ally McBeal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, red lipstick, tight varnish comes.
And quite intimidating.
Absolutely.
Well, you said to us when you came in today, and you're wearing like a lovely sort of like grey, greeny trouser suit and a striped top, and you went, I look like a working Zara. And that's probably, people wouldn't expect that. Like you said, they expect the whole kind of like lawyer look. So I think it's quite nice.
Yeah, I think so. And I think especially kind of clients my age and younger, they feel instantly relaxed when they see that you're relaxed as well. So I think it is important to get rid of the myth that we are all stuff shirts and all pompous and judgy. Definitely that's not how we present to clients.
We can confirm.
That
is not how she looks today.
It's
really nice to hear you kind of say that as well, because when you go in for your initial, consultation or whatever it is you call it, you don't even know what you want at that stage, do you?
Absolutely.
Your head's a shed.
Your head is a shed, totally. And I think I always say this as well. Do not try to come into me on a first interview and me tell you, well, do this, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get this, because realistically, you've got to take it one little piece at a time. And as you rightly say, often when clients come to see me, they've decided they want to separate. They may or may not have relayed that to their other half.
Yeah, actually, that is a really good point. Lots of people go in secretly, don't they?
They go in secretly,
you get really scared that like your partner's going to find out that you're going in as well.
Yeah, because a lot of clients, when they ring up and make the appointment, we ask them for basic details, mainly so that we can, because obviously we've got solicitors all at different levels, so mainly so we can get people in with the right people. But a lot of people don't want to disclose hardly anything. They're scared to death that somehow their partner is going to find out. We obviously never send anything out until somebody specifically signs the terms of business and instructs us, but obviously clients, when they make the appointment, they don't know that. So a lot of people come in. I've seen, there was one lady, I must have been seeing her for probably 2 years before she then did anything.
Really? No way.
So she used to just come in and talk to me how bad things were, and then obviously go away and decide she couldn't bear to do anything. And gradually, just over time, she kind of got stronger. And then she took the plunge and did what she needed to do. But sometimes it's just a case of me, agreeing a way forward if they do want to take it forward, telling them what kind of things we'd have to look at. And then I do always urge clients after a first meeting to go away and think about it. I don't think they should instruct straight away and go straight into it, unless they've been separated for a few years and they both both want that. But I think if it's somebody that's just separated or thinking of separating, you absolutely need to be in the right headspace before you then start doing anything.
Something you said earlier, in America, they serve the papers, don't they? But you have to do it in person, don't they?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that here, do we? Why do they do it like that in America?
You've been served.
Because I'd quite like that job. I'm like, right, who am I serving today? You. Oi, posh.
Well,
I like it.
We do still have to do personal service sometimes. Now I don't know if you know, but the divorce law changed last April. So divorces now are all no fault.
So you don't have
I did
to
not
put,
know this.
Yeah, you don't have to put
adultery or behaviour.
Yeah.
No reasons now. It's just now that the marriage is broken down.
Does that make your life easier?
I suppose in
Why did it
some
change?
ways, well, do you ever remember there was a long-running court case where she was trying to divorce her husband on the grounds of behaviour, and he kept objecting to the behaviour. He must have cross-petitioned or objected to the grounds. I think the case was Owens and Owens, I think. And it just kept going on and on and on. And I think that the resolution, the body that governs family law, have been campaigning for years for no-fault divorce, because I think behaviour and adultery petitions just raise the acrimony. So
it can blame
one
someone.
of you has to take the blame.
it's got to take the blame. So I agree that kind of raised the acrimony. So it has made our life easier in that we don't now have to take details of behaviour or plead that somebody's committed adultery.
Right.
But
does it make it quicker, the divorce process for them? I mean, quicker.
Not necessarily, because the introduction of the new rules mean that we issue your divorce petition now, and you have then got to wait. There's what's called a cooling off period now. So where you could kind of get a divorce, and as long as everybody signed it, get it through really quickly. Now, from issuing it, you've got to wait a 20-week period till you can apply for your conditional order that used to be a decree. So you've got like this cooling off period where they want you to kind of reflect on it and check. But the point I was going to make about the divorces, so when we used to do behaviour petitions, if you sent it to the spouse and they didn't acknowledge it or return it, to be able to proceed to the next stage, you had to prove they'd been served. So we would pay our inquiry agents to go out and hand them the divorce petition. So
I'll do that. If you ever need anyone, I'll do it. I'd quite like to do that.
So,
Get on your bike and start serving people.
That's right.
There was someone famous, wasn't it?
Olivia Wilde.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She got served on stage, wasn't it?
Someone walked up.
really, and served her on stage. Yeah.
I'd love to. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't. You're too young to remember this, but there was always the EastEnders, the Dirty Den scene where he was served on Christmas Day with the divorce papers.
Do you
remember? Yeah. Dirty Den.
Well, he wasn't very nice, was he?
No, he deserved it. He did. Yeah.
He deserved to get served.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet there's a lot of dirty dens.
Yeah. Well, no comment. So in certain circumstances, you do still have to personally serve papers. It's probably less and less nowadays, and you can get permission from the court to serve by email and things now. So it's not quite as prevalent as it perhaps used to be.
Not as dramatic.
No.
A question that we need to ask you as well, and we were talking about this on the pod last week.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a lawyer and a solicitor? Because we don't know.
Well, you've got a lawyer.
Laugh at us then.
I know,
It's a good question. It's basically the qualification that you've got. So lawyers are barristers, legal executives like me, and solicitors. So they are all lawyers, but they have all got a different qualification. Right. Solicitors and legal executives usually do the same job.
Yeah.
Barristers present your case in court, but we are all lawyers.
All lawyers.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the difference, really. Just the kind of different. I mean, the barristers do a different set of exams to the solicitors' exams. The legal execs. I mean, in our firm, we've got myself, my colleague Carey, Sarah, and Rachel, all legal executives, all done the route that I did, the college route as opposed to the university route. So it's just the different exams that you take that give you the different title, but you are all lawyers.
Got it. We were very confused about that. But I'm sure there will be other people who don't know.
It's a good question.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to get a lot of questions coming in from people listening. I feel like we're going to get a barrage.
Yeah.
Are you happy to answer some if they come in?
Yeah.
When they come in, not if. It'll be a when.
Yeah. No. I'm quite happy to answer any questions, and hopefully
we're going to come in, aren't we, tomorrow, and look at our emails. It'll be 3 a.m. It would have come through like
3 a.m.
Yeah.
I've been thinking. Yeah.
I listened to the pod and it's got me thinking about stuff. It'd be really good though, wouldn't it, to get you back in and kind of like, answer some questions, and we can keep it anonymous as well, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
We always, like, from when we started this podcast, Becky and I've always, we kind of base it on friendship and honesty. That's what this pod's all about, really, isn't it? And we've done episodes where, we've talked about luckily I wasn't married, but I was with him for 10 years. And then obviously you got divorced, and we've always kind of wanted to kind of delve deeper into it, because it is, and it's not, is there a happy divorce? Is there such a thing?
I think occasionally there's a happy divorce. I think probably the only time it is a happy divorce would be if a couple have been separated maybe for a long time. They've never dealt with the divorce, and then they both say, actually, we want to deal with this now. There's also, and I am actually, and this is something that can be addressed if somebody asks me that question, there's also another area of law called collaborative law. I am a trained collaborative lawyer, and it gives you the opportunity to try and have a happy divorce. Effectively, you sign an agreement yourself with your lawyer, so they'd have to pick a collaborative lawyer as well. You sign an agreement that you will not go to court, so you are committed to a process where you try and sort it without going to court. And actually, one of the ones I did, we all ended up having a glass of champagne after they signed. They did the deal. They signed the agreement. It was, don't get me wrong, this sticky bits, because you're talking about money and how you're going to divide things, and you don't all sit around and just agree to everything, but you basically try and sort it out. And if you can do that, then I think that is probably the closest you would get to a happy divorce.
Otherwise, it's a very stressful time, isn't it?
For most people, and I'm divorced, so I know how stressful it is, and it is a stressful time.
I think it's quite life defining, isn't it, going through a divorce? Like you often say, it's one of, like you say, the most stressful kind of things. Because it's not a quick thing either, is it? There's lots of like back and forth and this and that, and then doing that process, and it does take it out of you, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think there's also the emotional side of it where you kind of feel you fail. I mean, nobody gets married thinking they're going to get divorced. So there's this emotional turmoil yourself that you battle with, that you failed at something. I mean, usually it's not a quick process. It can be, but if there's, assets involved, it is back and forth. And so I would be lying if I said it's not stressful. We are here to try to help with that and take the stress from you. I mean, we take the emotion out of it. So where, my clients may be battling with what they're going through emotionally, how they feel about it, we are there to take the emotion out and to say, look, this is, because I see some people that say, look, I just want out of this. I'm happy to just give him everything. And I have to sit down and say, look, you may not feel like that in 12 months' time. It's your future as well. And it's not the case. Everybody, he's got the shirt off my back and I'm left with nothing. That is not the case. Fairness is the principle, really. But yeah, it's a stressful process, and I suppose that's where we come in to try and help with that.
Well, I feel like you kind of being now kind of involved with us as our sponsors, which we absolutely love. It's kind of ideal because we have a lot of female listeners. Most of them are female. Around our age. What's the average age of someone getting divorced, by the way?
I would have said probably.
Can we guess?
Yeah, go on.
I think late 30s, early 40s.
I would say that, I would say that. Definitely, And I got divorced at 37. So I suppose, late 30s, early 40s, I would say. And that's exactly the times when I'm saying people's children are growing up. You know, you kind of, when you first get married and you've got your young children, your life's almost too busy to think about what do I want, you know. I would say.
And you change as well, don't you? So I think when women get to that age, like late 30s, early 40s, I feel like you go through a bit of a change, like mentally and just with what you want in life, who you are, that kind of thing.
And if you don't grow together, because that's what happened with me and my ex-husband, I would say, that I changed a lot. He didn't change at all. And grew apart. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I always just say when I talk about like splitting up with someone, I actually think it's fine to fall out of love with someone. Like it's not
you said
illegal.
this to me.
Yeah.
I remember you saying this
I remember
to me.
you being really upset and being like, but you're allowed to fall out of love with someone.
Yeah.
But what for me, it's like the kind of cheating thing or whatever. It's just like that. It happens, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Is it? I sometimes think, is it natural that you are with the same partner from whatever age for the whole of your life? If you are, then you're very lucky.
Yeah.
That you feel the same all that time. But really, as human beings, as you say, it is not unnatural to fall out of love with somebody. And nobody should beat themselves up about that.
No, that's the sad thing. I think people do, and I think, well, actually, it's really brave to turn around and go, you know. But I guess it's the way you do it and how you handle it and how your partner handles it. You know, it's not nice, but it's okay.
It is okay, and you may not. You may still love them, but you may not be in love with them. You know,
that's a good point. Actually, I think you do have like a love for a person.
You have history,
of course you do. When you've got children,
and they're like your family. They become like your family. Even if you've been with them for a long time. But I guess you feel like guilt, don't you? If they haven't done anything really wrong, often sometimes it's easier if someone has cheated or done something really black and white. You can go right, that's it. But if it is just you kind of like grown apart or you fall out of love, you almost feel a bit worse because of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a lot of clients I see, I think women especially, that carry a lot of guilt if they're the ones that have decided. And I say that it's especially women that will say, you know, he can have all that, I don't want it. And it's because they feel guilty.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's nothing to feel guilty about, that your feelings have changed or you've fallen out of love with somebody. Usually it's over a period of time. It's things that you wouldn't define. He's done this, he's done that, but just gradually over a period of time. And this is when we used to do the behaviour petitions. And I used to say to my clients, right, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to, you haven't been apart 2 years, so we'll have to do a behaviour petition. Oh, I couldn't possibly, there's not been any behaviour. So I always used to say, well, I'm happily married and I could write a behaviour petition about my husband. So, and then
people are going to relate to that.
Yeah,
me too.
Absolutely. And 5 or 6 examples. So I used to think, well, I actually could easily give 5 or 6 examples of, so, and then I used to say, for example, does he do this? Oh, yes. And then by the time I've done it, I've got 2 pages, and I think, well, actually,
you've got a plethora of options here. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Also, just because the fact you're on this pod, actually, it organically you arrived here, didn't you? And I actually love how we kind of met you.
Yes.
So, I mean, for a lot of our sponsors, we go out and find them, don't we? We sniff them out. We
hunt them down. But with you, we didn't.
Yeah. No. I remember when I first laid eyes on you because I thought you were, well, I mean, Lorraine from Happy Roots, you are her mother.
I am, yes.
And everyone listening to this pod will know how much we love Lorraine.
Yeah. And she loves you.
Yeah, we met her organically because she applied for a competition.
She won a competition. Yeah.
And we knew, bless Lorraine, she did some beautiful flowers for our first birthday party.
That's right.
And I saw a photo of Lorraine and I went, oh my God, look at Lorraine's friend. She's so beautiful. And then we met you in person and was like, this is my mum. And I was like, get out.
I'll take that.
Honestly,
I'll take it.
We were both, we couldn't believe it, could we? But you look so similar. But what I love is you're a divorce lawyer. Yeah. She runs around a field of flowers.
Literally complete opposites.
And does weddings. We always say she gets the good bit and then I get when it all goes wrong. Could we be at more opposite ends of the spectrum?
Literally couldn't, could she?
Hire you both. So get Lorraine for the wedding, get you for the divorce.
Well, she'd have to give my business card out, wouldn't she? Slip it in the flowers, yeah.
Just in case, guys.
Yeah.
If ever you need it. Yeah. I love it. Oh, it has been fascinating having you on. I mean, I feel like we could ask you a million more questions.
Oh, we'll have to get you on again. Because I think we haven't even scratch the surface.
No, we haven't. And also, we'll get, we know that we're going to get lots of questions from our listeners as well.
Fine,
so
that's
those
fine. I'm quite happy to answer any questions.
Yes, amazing.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
It's okay, no problem. Thank you for having me.